Under stars unknown, they fought for a flag they called their own. Now some return, scars that remain, while others face the streets again. We owe them a place where the cold won't creep, a roof to guard where they lay to sleep. No soldier served should ever stand alone. Let's fight to keep them safe at home. The battles don't end when the war is done. The echoes linger and the nights run long. Some face demons they can't escape, others fight the silence of an empty plate. They gave their lives, their dreams, their years, shielded us from our darkest fears. How can we turn and walk away when their need calls to us today? We owe them a place where the cold won't creep, a roof to guard where they lay to sleep. No soldier served should ever stand alone. Let's fight to keep them safe at home. We owe them a place where the cold won't creep, a roof to guard where they lay to sleep. No soldier served should ever stand alone. Let's fight to keep them safe at home. The battles don't end when the war is done. The echoes linger and the nights run long. Some face demons they can't escape, others fight the silence of an empty plate. They gave their lives, their dreams, their years, shielded us from our darkest fears. How can we turn and walk away when their need calls to us today? We owe them a place where the cold won't creep, a roof to guard where they lay to sleep. No soldier served should ever stand alone. Let's fight to keep them safe at home. This is our pledge, our duty to bear, to honor the brave with more than a prayer. Every hand can build, every heart can heal. We can change the world if we choose to feel. Yeah. We owe them a place where the cold won't creep, a roof to guard where they lay to sleep. No soldier served should ever stand alone. Let's fight to keep them safe at home. Keep them safe at home. For each sacrifice, for every tear, for the brothers they've lost year by year. Let's stand together, make this right, for the veterans who gave us their life.
We're back. Well, one of us is back anyway. I promised I'd be back, and I did. I actually had some time to kind of take some downtime and get some house stuff done, but now we are back. My name is Amy, and I am the founder of the Keep Our Vets Housed Foundation. I have been doing this since 2014 when my family first fell into this same nightmare crisis, and I have seen firsthand and felt firsthand the consequences of a country that turns its back on its veterans, because it still does today as it did back then. So I wanted to just take today, instead of doing something for our foundation, to help this veteran family who has made not only their local news, not only their state news in Pennsylvania, but also national news. And there are still so many people who have not heard this story. The story itself is one that just is gut-wrenching. There's so much tied into this. It actually, in my opinion, is stealing from the federal government, but we'll see how that plays out. I'm going to curious until the AG for Pennsylvania does whatever it is that he's going to do for these victims. It's not just one family, but this one family has made national news, and it kind of turned my world upside down a couple days ago, because since 2014, when my own family fell into crisis with the foreclosure for our house, I convinced myself that if our story made national news, maybe people would care and step up and help, and we wouldn't lose our home. There are too many people, whether you're a political party supporter, or you are a government supporter, or regardless of what your background is, there are too many people who are pushing the narrative that this is as simple as pay your bills. That is not the case with this. In every single foreclosure that we are specifically speaking of, which is tens of hundreds of thousands into million, These are families who, much like their civilian counterparts with the conventional mortgages, were on the forbearance program for COVID-19. And after multiple extensions, which totaled about 2 years, the VA mortgages were discriminated against and treated very differently than the conventional, counterpart. Um, so I'm going to start out just by introducing myself again for people who have just joined the movement and don't know too much about it. My name is Amy Tilly Boyd. I am the founder of Keep Our Vets Housed Foundation. We have only been a nonprofit for a year, but I have been doing this since 2014, long before I was an actual nonprofit. Um, I'm not coming to you today as just an advocate for justice for these veteran families. I am talking to you as a veteran spouse, a veteran wife, a mother, and someone who has seen firsthand what this nightmare can do to a family. This is additional trauma for trauma that many of these families already go through every single day. These are people who have fought for this country and are now fighting this horrible war by themselves just to keep their homes. In 2014, after years of service, a total of 12 between two branches, my husband and I were blindsided by the threat of foreclosure just 4 months after he was unjustly let go of his DOD job. He and 5 other families had their world torn upside down when they were let go because the contractor for the squadron on the base that he still works at today let him go because he was not Filipino. He reminded me a couple days ago that he went by the same squadron's contractor office and it is still the same today. So they've made no changes. We did everything right just as much as these families did. We served our country, we paid our bills, we had to ask for help when we fell into this pit that we have found ourselves in. And still we are fighting for our home. And it's not 2014 anymore, it is now 2025. That's because the COVID-19 forbearance and numerous extensions that came with it, while it saved most of us at the time, they had, as a government, no real long-term plan to deal with the payments once they became due. And with a VA mortgage, they were due in one lump sum. We had it written in, the government did, that you can't do that. You have to spread them out. So then what happened was these families were getting hit with mortgages that they couldn't afford, much like ours. For our mortgage, we went in at 4%. It is a VA loan, and our mortgage payment was just over $1,900. We are sitting on a 6.875% mortgage now, and we are paying over $3,000. That is a huge difference. Huge. This fight for my family's home opened my eyes way back in 2014 to a national crisis that was hiding for everyone to see in plain sight. And that is why I started the KOVH Foundation, to stand in the gap for those who served and now need us to serve them. So here's the grim reality for what we're talking about. On May 1st, 2025, the current administration paved the way to help end the VASP program, which was the VA's answer to helping veterans stay in their homes. There was no parades, there was no protest, there was no national outcry. It just disappeared and everyone has not talked about it. This program helped more than 50,000 veterans to avoid foreclosure through the following ways. One, interest rates were reduced to up to 3.5% to help them pay their mortgages. And this was not going to be a permanent thing. It was to help them get back on their feet during this time frame. Also, there were forbearances during hardships. There were payment deferrals for veterans transitioning to civilian life. The foreclosure mediation program touts a 78% success rate. That's mediation, not a handout. Mediation. It offered protections for families of deployed service members. All of those things were gone with just a swipe of a pen. Once that program was ended, that was it. As if that wasn't bad enough, which, by the way, for months, I have and my foundation has been telling everyone that this was going to happen. The current administration has decided that they're going to help do away with all of the other federal mortgage assistance programs, including FHA relief, by September 1st. So those are going to be gone. This is not a bureaucratic shift. It is a humanitarian crisis in the making. This is what it breaks down to. 50,000 plus veterans and rapidly growing are now going to factually face foreclosures in the next 90 to 120 days. Veterans who are on fixed incomes and have disabilities are now the highest risk group, and they are my foundation's most prioritized people. The VA reported a 32% spike in housing-related distress calls. That is mental health crisis screaming at us. That is going to add more mental health problems and increase that 44 plus a day rate that veterans take their lives to probably double that. Families of deployed troops just lost their one and only safety net, and veterans transitioning to civilian jobs don't have that little tiny time cushion that they had. This is trauma stacked on top of trauma, and the ripple effect is going to be massive. We're looking at $87 billion in projected home equity loss by the end of 2026. 14 regional banks are now flagged as financially at risk because their portfolios tout the largest number of VA mortgages. Cities across the nation are preparing for a 27% surge in family homelessness. We are rapidly hurtling towards a crisis that will rival 2008, but the difference this time is that the people getting hit first, all of them, wore flags on uniforms that served this country. So why is there such a silence with this issue? Why are nonprofits on a national level and nonprofits and groups on a social media level not talking about this problem? It's buried in policy jargon. People don't want to read it. They don't want to dig into it. It's mind-numbing. The media is heavily distracted. They're going to only cover what is going to get them the views and what is going to bring in the sponsors and the money and to keep them up there and relevant. Some people, you and I don't, of course, but some people believe that the housing market is strong enough to recover on its own. It is not. There is no way that it's going to. And worst of all, there is this crazy false hope that private lenders are going to voluntarily fill the gap and help these families. That is not going to happen. They were told for months in advance that this was coming, that the VAST program was going to end. It gave them time to create a program, and they didn't. That is why the KOVH Foundation is standing virtually alone in raising this alarm. We created the Veteran Housing Justice Ambassador Program, a national grassroots response to a national disgrace. We're placing ambassadors in every U.S. state that are going to be trained to do what I've been doing since 2014. Work with state leaders, educate the public, connect veteran families to the resources in their local communities and in their states. Educating the public is vital right now. Connecting family with those resources are vital right now. It helps to eliminate a tiny bit of the stresses and the pressures and the worries. It's not going to cure it, but it's going to give them a chance. But it's also going to let us push for legislative protections in each state on a much better level. And it's going to help stop this crisis before it further escalates. This is not top down. This is bottom up, people powered change. We are giving American veterans the one thing they've been denied: a loud, unrelenting advocate in every corner of this country. So here's what I'm asking for people who are going to watch this later and who are going to listen and watch this now. Become an ambassador. We have the applications. If you can guarantee me that you're going to give me 8 hours a week minimum to do training and to participate in the workshops and learn what you need to do, how to do it, and the best way to do it, we can do this. Share our message every time you go live. Even if you are a small time gamer on social media, you're having the use of a platform, you can use it to help. Reach out to your lawmakers and ask them why they are not doing more. Don't let this continue to happen on your watch. You don't need a policy degree, you need courage. You don't need a uniform, you just need conviction. We can't stand by while those who served our country lose their homes in silence. This is not a partisan issue. This is about protecting American families and the stability of our communities. The time for action is not tomorrow, it is today. This is not about left or right. It is not about politics. It is about families. It is about dignity, doing what is right. It's about who we are as a nation. We cannot let the people who serve this country come home to foreclosure notices. We cannot let this silent crisis continue in the shadows and destroying families. I'm going to ask you, will you be the voice? And hopefully you will answer yes. Will you take the lead? And hopefully you will answer yes. Will you help us keep our veterans housed? And I'm hoping that you're going to answer yes. Because if we don't do it, I'm not sure who is going to. So that is kind of what we are doing and who we are. But more importantly is, why was I up at the crack of dawn this morning? 2 days ago, someone who has followed me for a long time tagged me in a video that broke my heart. I've seen so many GoFundMes set up for veterans who are facing foreclosure, and there is no one nonprofit that is ever going to be able to help all of these veterans. And the number of veterans who are now at risk are going to far exceed what they can do anyway. This particular one really bothers me because, again, I thought if you made national news that people would step up and help, and that's just not the case. Todd Ensley, and I hope I didn't butcher his last name, and his beautiful wife are in their 60s. They made state and local news, and they made national news. And there is so much wrapped up into what happened with this family that I can't even begin to get into it. Most of the facts that you're going to need are in their GoFundMe, and I got permission from him himself to share those things. I have been talking to him in email. I will tell you that there are numerous nonprofits on this application, these social media platforms, that have wanted to help them, promised them things, and have not fulfilled those promises. Um, I will tell you that there are national nonprofits who said that they would try and help, and the help that they offered them were horrible things. And I'm not sure if it's because of a fear that there was going to be some kind of public backlash, or if they just realized that there was nothing that they could do. They didn't know what to do. He has been very clear that they have tried absolutely everything. June 11th is the deadline. We are a new nonprofit, and we are more of an advocacy activism group. We do not have a budget, so we can't financially do anything. We are focused right now, and have been for months, if not pretty much all year, on the legislative and regulatory side of things and getting that started. Because if we don't fix that, this is going to keep happening. But this family's story broke my heart because it reminded me that I dropped the ball, and I had to apologize to him myself. Because at no point when I wrote the program that replaces VASP that I wrote myself, it took me 3.5 hours, did I include any provisions for rent to own. I didn't even think about it. So for that, I'm really sorry. In the legislation that I wrote, the bill, same thing. I didn't even think about it. I honestly was just trying to get something written and proposed so that we could get it out there, and I didn't leave any room for that. So his story is in the GoFundMe that they created. He basically says, I'll read to you what it says on the GoFundMe, which is the top link in my link tree, which right now the goal is 5,000. They've raised 345, and they have a long way to go. Technically, they need about just under 15 grand to solve their problems. And unless this goes national again, and unless we go viral, there is nothing that's going to happen. June 11th is their deadline. Todd and his wife Linda are both in their 60s. Todd is the veteran. They are both, struggling, trying to get through this. They're praying that this country does not let them be homeless. His wife is disabled. She is a survivor of a heart attack. I think it's multiple. I can't remember. I was so just blown away by their story that I have to go back in and read. He says, no government agency or any other are able to help us. Our government has left us nowhere else to turn but except asking you for help. Please help us so we do not become another homeless couple. Our story made national news. You can do a Google search and it tells you how to do it. He also included the link so that you can see this entire story, kind of how it played out. They are in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And like I said, multiple nonprofits have dropped the ball. This leaves a bad taste in the mouth of not just veterans, but anyone who is in crisis mode that needs help because they don't know where to turn. If they don't have the facts, if they don't have the information that they need, there is no hope for families to get any help. I have watched single handedly in the last few weeks, TikTok alone has this uncanny way of selective support. If you're part of this little group, then you get all your videos with thousands and thousands of views, and you get home repairs, and you get things, and that's great. We're doing a great job with that, and we need to keep doing that. But if we're not starting to tackle the underlying problems, slowing the flow of the number of veterans who are in crisis mode, we're just going to keep adding to it. And that problem is going to keep growing. And there's never going to be enough help, ever. I don't have all the answers. I wish I did. All I know is the best that I can do is to try and see if I can pull enough people together that we can share things out and get this family the money that they need and the recognition that they need so that they don't become another statistic. I may have to restart. Actually, yes, I'm going to need to restart my live because I just dropped frames again.